it for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TB. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Matt Ohayon with you on this Tuesday evening. It's the Sick Podcast. For those of you that are expecting Tony, I'm sorry. He went on vacation, so I will be doing for the next 2 weeks, I will be doing the nights with Habs games. So I'll be doing your post-game show for the next 2 weeks. Tony will be back tomorrow, and then it will be me on the regularly scheduled Friday. But before that, Thursday, because today's Tuesday. It's hard to know the days of the week these days, man. All right, let's take care of some things before we talk about the game. This Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group has recently been named by Deloitte and CIBC as one of Canada's best managed companies, the country's leading business award recognizing innovative and world-class companies. The best managed Canadian companies designation fuels Energy's purpose of creating progress for our customers, our employees, and our communities. Join a winning team and check out Energy's career page for available opportunities. We're also brought to you by Playground. Experience the world-renowned poker experience with free food and drinks at their cash games table. A bad beat jackpot that's already over $700,000 after the world record-setting amount of $2,590,000 was won on August 2nd. Weekly promotions, daily tournaments, and unmatched customer service. Why play anywhere else? Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes away from downtown Montreal. Playground, and of course by La Bitte TB beer, brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bitte TB offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bitte TB, embrace your true nature. Okay, well, we could all breathe a sigh of relief, or Habs fans can at least. If you're a Dallas Stars fan, I'm sorry about that they got your hopes up. Yeah, what a wild game. Wild game. Right from puck drop, literally 11 seconds in, Dallas scores. And then it was pretty much all Canadians until the last 5 minutes of the game. So let's break it all down with my usual Friday guest. He's here on Tuesday. His name is Mr. Stu Cowan of the Montreal Gazette. Stu, how are we doing?
It is hard to keep track of what day it is during the holidays, right?
Oh man. You know, I've been listen.
Like a flashback to COVID when it was the same thing.
But you know, it's like I've been off since Friday. So I don't know what the hell day it was. I thought New Year's was on Saturday. I don't know. I had no idea what was going on. But back to regularly scheduled programming. Your Montreal Canadiens close out that road trip with a win.
Yeah, it was what a wild finish. It certainly looked like it was over when Caulfield scored a third goal in 3 games to make it 4-1. Stars came really close to tying it up at the end also. But, after the morning skate in Dallas this morning, Marty St. Louis was talking about how this was, the 7th straight road game they've played. And they now finished that stretch with a 3-1 record. And as he said before it started, if you had said we would finish 500, we'd be satisfied with that. So I guess they are satisfied. It was a big win, especially after losing 3 in a row after the Christmas break. But one thing, and we've talked about this before, one of the most impressive things about this Canadiens team with Marty St. Louis is they don't give up. A goal 11 seconds in, bad giveaway, bad mistake by Mike Matheson behind his own net. They come back and fight back, take a 4-1 lead. They're down 4-3. There was a little bit of panic. I don't think there was no panic in those last minute. Dallas came really close to scoring there right near the end. But they hung in, and Sam Montembeault, another strong game, back-to-back starts for the 5th time this season. There's no doubt right now that he is the number 1 goalie on this team. Impressive win. Nice way for them to finish it. We're flying home after the game. They're going to arrive at around 3:15 this morning in St. Hubert and back on the ice Thursday. So, they have the good news is for them, they're coming home. The bad news is they have a losing record at home. I think they're 7-9-2 at the Bell Center. They've been better on the road this season.
And they have been. Can't remember if they've. I think they played Buffalo earlier this season for sure, if I remember correctly. But Buffalo at the Bell Center,
well, they played in Buffalo. That was when David Savard broke his hand. I remember that game.
Right. And the last time, I think it was the last time Buffalo played at the Bell Center, they routed the Canadiens like 8-3 or something. I was at that game. Yeah. It was last season. It's I think give that one to Sam Montembeault again. Don't let Jake Allen face those demons again.
That's going to be a really hard game for the Canadiens Thursday night. They've been away from home for a long time. They came home briefly there for Christmas, and then we're right back on the road again. As I mentioned earlier, 7 straight road games. Getting home, by the time they get back to their houses, they're landing around 3:15 this morning. It's going to be 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning by the time they get to bed. Obviously, tomorrow's a day off for them, but then a lot of family stuff going on. Kids happy to see their fathers, the ones who have kids again. They're going to be tired. Thursday's going to be a really tough game for the Canadiens at the Bell Center. It's first game back after any road trip is always hard. First game back after such a long period on the road is really hard. So that makes this win tonight even more important that they pick up a couple of points in the standings.
And listen, I work a desk job, in my day-to-day. I find it difficult to work my desk job after, missing one night, going to bed late one night, it's 3 a.m. I can't sleep. And then I go to work the next day. I can't imagine playing hockey at a high level the next day against a team that really wants to beat you, because that is a reeling and desperate Buffalo Sabres team that cannot be happy where they are in the standings. But let's talk more about tonight, because, we spoke on Friday. I think some players were tuned into that episode. We spoke about what Nick Suzuki's New Year's resolution should be, because we want to keep them realistic, and you said he should be hitting 82 points. Well, those 2 points tonight will help him.
Yep, he's right close to a point a game. He's been what it's I think it's like, I just looked it up before and I can't remember how many. It's like 6 goals in his last 8 games or something like that. He's been on quite a roll. I tweeted earlier tonight, if Nick Suzuki played on a really good team and a top contending team, I think people would appreciate him even more. He does so many things well. Big goal, getting that first goal tonight to tie it up 1-1 after they were down early. Playing against the other team's top line every game. He's consistent. He's not, as we mentioned on Friday, I don't think he's ever going to be a 100-point player, a top 10 NHL scorer, but he's a steady point per game, two-way defense centerman who's gotten a lot better on faceoffs this season also. And now that Caulfield's starting to score and Slavkovsky's coming along, he's got 7 points on the last 8 games, 3 goals in the last 3 games for Caulfield. That's only going to help Suzuki with his point production, obviously. So, Nick Suzuki is just a really good, smart, solid, steady hockey player, and we saw that again tonight.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the way he played tonight. It's hard to knock really any Canadiens player tonight. I think they just played really well as a unit. Would they like to have had some more time in Dallas's zone, equalize those shots on net a little bit and even out the scoring chances? Maybe, but hey, they know what they wanted to do. They wanted to escape with a victory, and that's what they did. More goals from defensemen, which is always an added bonus. Like this is what
30 goals now. I'm not sure if Colorado, I know they were 1 ahead of Colorado. I don't know if Colorado game's still going on. I don't know how many defensemen have scored then there, but it's 30 goals now for the Canadiens defense, and Colorado at 29 going into tonight. So it's the defense just keep putting the puck in the net.
Well, that's it. And, tonight was the perfect storm for a victory in the sense that you had a goaltender playing well. You had your best 2 forwards score. Put the puck in the back of the net, and then you got help from the defense like that on the score sheet. I mean, what more could you want? That's a recipe for success on any given night, no matter who you're playing. And Dallas, for all intents and purposes, they're in the conversation to be one of the Cup favorites this year. They have one of the best home records in the NHL. Well, that before the game they were 12-5-1. Obviously, they're 12-6-1 now, and just again. I mean, what more can you say? It was good performance all around. Again, the Frankie Corrado on the TSN broadcast could not stop singing the praises of Yuri Slavkovsky and how well he was playing. Especially how well, especially on the back.
What a solid game he played. I mean, a nice setup on Suzuki's goal. He made a key play on Caulfield's goal also. 7 points in the last 8 games. And what really impressed me was one of the power plays. He got a one-timer opportunity, and he actually one-timed it. And it was a good shot. He didn't score, but he's got to do that more. He's too hesitant shooting the puck. He'd have a lot more goals, quite a few more goals anyway, if he would shoot the puck more often. So that was a good sign. He got a pass for a one-timer on the power play, and he let it rip. Good shot. Goalie made a save, but we got to see more of that from him. But you can just see his confidence growing, getting better each game. And if that line can really start clicking, that's going to help the Canadiens. Obviously, it's going to help them pick up a lot more points in the standings.
And unfortunately, while some players, while Caulfield has been taking advantage of his what was on his Christmas list on a new hockey stick, he's no longer snake bitten, it seems, because goals in 3 games, that's a good way to get the monkey off your back. Unfortunately, though, the injury bug just cannot be shaken.
Yeah.
And you know what? Jokes aside, that looked really bad.
It was hard with Josh Anderson. Yeah, it was hard. I mean, he got the high stick in the face there in the first minute. We saw that, but it looked like it might have been a groin. I couldn't. The replay I saw was sort of hard to see what it was. Definitely lower body, the way he was limping off the ice. But man, it just not just injuries, but injuries to key guys and long term. Hopefully, this isn't serious for Josh Anderson, but it sure didn't look good when he's being helped down the hallway there to the locker room. And he had a good game tonight also. And boy, if they lose him, it's just Marty St. Louis must just be going, come on, like throw your hands up in the air at some point. Like how do you keep competing? It's impressive how they've been able to compete without Doc since game 2, Newhook gone, and all those games with David Savard. But I mean, Josh Anderson would be, especially when Josh Anderson just started to get going and scoring goals, to lose him now would be a huge blow.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, that's what they were saying on the broadcast. It's so unfortunate just because he's a guy that's just regained his confidence. Everything he's been touching has been going into the back of the net. And again, it's like clockwork. Anytime this happens with the Canadiens, the past 3 seasons, it seems it's going well for anyone except for Nick Suzuki, who, he won't. It seems like he'll never get injured.
I don't know what he drinks or eats or whatever he does. I know the Canadiens put a video on their Twitter account before the game with some drink he was mixing, some sports nutrition drink or something. They should all drink it, whatever it is, because it's incredible how this guy just never gets hurt. And he plays. It's a physical game, Nick Suzuki too. He's not like he avoids contact. I mean, he's a physical player, and how he hasn't got hurt. Knock on wood for the Canadiens' sake, it doesn't happen. But Josh Anderson not only scoring. I mean, physical presence again with the game in Tampa with the big hit followed by the fight. Anybody who's listening to the show knows I'm a fan of Josh Anderson. I think the Canadiens would be crazy to get rid of him. But boy, if they lose him now with an injury, what a huge blow.
But that's just it. It's they don't have a presence at that point. You need who you need to step up is the guy with the physical presence on the ice, who is Yuri Slavkovsky. If he could, relish the opportunity. Obviously, we're speculating that this is a long-term injury, but from the way it looked, we're going to run with that. Is that you need Slavkovsky to step up even more now, because you need to take his game to another level, because the Canadiens are really going to miss that physical presence with Josh Anderson out of the lineup and Arbor Xhekaj down in Laval. The big bodies are starting to dwindle now.
Yeah, and as Marty St. Louis has said in the past, he doesn't want to throw too many things at Slavkovsky at the same time. Like, we work on one thing and get him doing that, and then work on another. As I mentioned, the one-timer tonight, that's a good sign that he's shooting the puck more, being more physical. We've seen that come, like just using his body to his advantage as opposed to planting guys into the boards like Josh Anderson does. But that's something else that Slavkovsky is going to need to make part of his game, or should make part of his game, and he can with the size he has and the strength he has. But as Marty St. Louis said, and they've said right from the beginning, it's baby steps with Slavkovsky. Ken Hughes said recently he figures it's 3 to 4 years away from seeing the player Slavkovsky become the player that they were anticipating he would become, or hoping he would become when they drafted him. But the progress he's made over the last month or so has been really, really impressive. And you're right. I mean, he's going to have to Now they'll push on him a little bit more to use his body more on the forecheck and throw some more checks. Don't just go with the one-hand stick check. Let the defenseman know you're there. Hit guys into the boards. Take a little bit of Josh Anderson's game and make it part of his game. But against Slavkovsky, he's improving. He's not scoring goals. He's only got 4 goals still, but he's producing more. He's getting more assists, and he's looking much more comfortable playing with Suzuki and Caulfield.
So one more guy or at least I need to throw some flowers at is because I knocked him on Friday again. Maybe he was listening. Jordan Harris. I said he doesn't have a shot. What does he do? He just gets a secondary assist on Nick Suzuki's goal, and then wires one past Scott Wedgwood in the second period. It was a great shot. It really was. It was a well-placed shot. He had another very good game. And listen, the Canadiens and Martin St. Louis, for all the bad problems he has of players falling down to injury nonstop and 3-goalie system, well, he has good problems on his hands on the back end at least.
Yeah, and Jordan Harris is a really smart guy. He knows what the situation is. I mean, he's seeing his buddy Jaden Struble basically, take over his guaranteed spot on the blue line. He's seen Jonathan Kovacevic, another one of his buddies, be made a healthy scratch, only back in the lineup now because of the injury to Dvorak. They dressed 7 defensemen for the second straight game. He knows Arbor Xhekaj is down in Laval. He knows Logan Mayhew's down in Laval. He knows David Reinbacher is coming. There's going to be a huge battle for jobs coming. And I'm sure Jordan Harris knew that going into the last couple of games when he got back in the lineup. He's got to step up now. He's got to show that he deserves a spot on this blue line and try and make it difficult for the Canadiens to take him out of the lineup the same way Jaden Struble did. I mean, Jaden Struble, nobody, Kent Hughes told him when he called him up that he wasn't probably going to play in any games. And then Jordan Harris got hurt and Struble made the most of that opportunity. So now for Jordan Harris's sake, as I said, he knows the situation. He knows that he's fighting now to keep a regular spot on the Canadiens blue line, and he certainly helped his case tonight.
Yeah, he did. He really did. And again, it's just, I don't know how, I mean, other than obviously Josh Anderson, I don't know how you don't go back with the same lineup, actually. Well, the Canadiens were playing with 7 defensemen tonight, so maybe that'll make things easier for Martin St. Louis, because Anderson goes out, you play, or, I don't know.
History now. I mean, somebody's getting Heineman or somebody's getting called up from Laval again. I was wondering if Yoel Armia might get sent down again or get benched after that dumb penalty he took a couple of games ago that cost them. But now bodies. If Josh Anderson isn't ready to play, somebody's getting called up from Laval. Do they go with 7 defense and 11 forwards again? That's not ideal. It's also not ideal to keep 3 goalies around. What they've done that, but they won tonight with 7 defensemen. So maybe that'll be the case again. They'll call up Heineman or someone from Laval and just put him into Anderson's spot. But again, we're speculating here. We don't know if Anderson's definitely out, but it sure didn't. The way he left, it didn't look like he's going to be back playing Thursday night. Hopefully he is, but we'll see.
Yeah. But again, just, that's a big part of the loss. It's just, it was a win. Big part of the win was Josh Anderson going down, but that's really the only loss the Canadiens took on the night on really what was just a fantastic real performance on tonight on a game that I really think a lot of people were expecting, could have been a disastrous night. It's exactly what happened against Chicago. Granted, Chicago is one of the worst teams in the NHL. This makes it even more impressive because it's one of the best teams. Is that, again, end of a road trip. You're coming back home. Guys are tired. They're sick of being on the road. They want to see their families. They could have just dogged it tonight.
And then you're down one.
I thought it was going to be a disastrous game when 11 seconds in. I started laughing.
I thought the same thing. And the thing is, these guys would have packed up their suitcases at the hotel before going to the game tonight. They get ready to go to the plane. They all know they're going back home. It's been a long haul. And then, as I mentioned earlier, with Christmas and everything else and New Year's on the road, I'm looking forward to getting back home. And then, 11 seconds in, you're like, oh, man, are you kidding me? You're down 1-0, 11 seconds in against one of the, most of the guys haven't even broken a sweat yet. And you're down. The coaches might not even have noticed. Marty St. Louis might have been looking at his notes or something and looks up and it's 1-0. To fight back the way they did, as I mentioned off the top of the show, this team doesn't give up. They really don't. They fight hard. They play hard. They're not talented to win a lot of games. But tonight they were against a much more talented team, and they came away with the win. And at the end there, I mean, if that game had gone another 30 seconds, I think Dallas would have tied it up. I mean, you could see the Canadiens were really starting to scramble, and Dallas was coming really hard, pumped up after getting 2 goals with the goalie on the bench for an extra attacker. And if it went a little bit longer, I think they would have tied, but it didn't. It's a game 60 minutes. It was over, and the Canadiens hung on, and they got 2 points.
And listen, for all intents and purposes, like the next few games, like now, just to let our viewers know, as things stand right now, it's the first intermission between Ottawa and Vancouver. Ottawa's dead in the water. They got a million games in hand on everyone, but it's 5-0. It's 5-0 for Vancouver right now in the first.
What a disaster!
It's in Ottawa. I don't know what the hell's going on over there, but it ain't pretty. So they're pretty much done this season. But for the Canadiens to bring it back, that turns those games into must wins. And the game on Thursday against Buffalo, that's, if you want to make a push because of where you are, you got to win that game. And that's a very winnable game against the team that's not playing very well and who struggles on the road while you struggle at home. So something's got to give there.
Yep, and as I said, that's going to be a tough game for the Canadiens. But it'll be it'll be a good flight home tonight. They're going to be tired. They're going to be looking forward to getting home. But that was a win to be proud of. Like that was really a solid team effort, and especially the way they hung on at the end there. That was impressive. I mean, it was shaky. It was like this. I was watching the game saying, "Oh man, they're going to tie it up here." And they didn't, though. And Sam Montembeault, again, as I mentioned earlier, just showing that he is the number one goalie on this team moving forward. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And it looks like I imagine Jake Allen is the goalie they will end up trading once Kent Hughes gets what he thinks is a good deal for that. And then we'll see Sam Montembeault as the number one goalie with Caden Primo for the backup for the rest of this season anyway. And see how the goaltending situation works out after that. But Sam Montembeault, just another solid performance. I mean, can't blame him for that first goal. I mean, the puck, Matheson has the puck behind the net, and all of a sudden it pops out right in front in the slot, and it's in the back of the net. First shot you face, but at the end of the game, he made some big saves there near the end of the game that keep that let the Canadiens win.
Yeah, it's just been there's no complaints about this win. And listen, you want to go to the macro level. You take a look at the 2 games on New Year's Eve and the day before against Florida. The Canadiens were in it. I'm not going to say they deserved to win those games, but they were in it. And those are tough teams, and those are tough games for the Canadiens. We always say there was the Canadiens were 0-12 between the games of Christmas and New Year's. There was that stat that was floating around or something like that on Twitter. And, they may have lost both games, but They gave Florida and Tampa a lot to handle, and finally, like, the efforts paid off. It's kind of like what's been going on in our conversations. We've been talking like, oh, something's got to give. When it was with Josh Anderson, he's getting all these chances. It's got to materialize. Like, enough's enough. Finally, it was materializing. We said the same thing about Juraj Slavkovsky. They were talking so highly of him and all the progression he's made. And then finally it paid off. He started finding the score sheet. And now it happened in these last 3 games. They played really, really well against Florida and Tampa Bay. Finally, the system and their efforts were finally rewarded against Dallas. And it's good to... it's one that feels very good. Like you said, it's a tough flight home. They're going to get home in their houses around 5 a.m., but they're going to feel really good getting into bed tonight.
Yeah, and St. Louis said after the morning skate that the team had played well. They played well. They outshot Tampa. I think it was 30-20. They just couldn't capitalize on their chances, which is a familiar theme with this team, especially with the forwards. The forwards have really struggled to score, but now with Caulfield starting to score and Anderson had been starting to score, Slavkovsky starting to produce offense, not scoring, but with that assists. There's a reason for optimism moving forward that this team can continue. They're not going to make the playoffs. I've said that right since before the season started, and that was before Kirby got hurt and Newhook got hurt. But I also said they'd be entertaining to watch, and they battle, and that's what they're doing. They battle, they fight. Tonight was an entertaining game, hectic at the end for Canadiens fans. But I think we're going to see more of that as the season goes on. They're going to compete. They're going to battle. They're going to win games that they shouldn't win, or you think they shouldn't win, like tonight against Dallas. They'll probably lose some games that you think they should win against the worst teams, but that's hockey, that's pro sports. But the fight's there. The fight's there, and again, that's I think it's impressed me the most from day one when Marty St. Louis took over. Is just this team has a passion and an attitude, as Marty St. Louis said this morning. He likes their attitude. He likes the passion that they play with. And he said when that passion starts to fade, that's when the attitude can change. And we saw that with at the end of Dominic Ducharme's reign as coach. There was no passion. The attitude was terrible. But Marty St. Louis, the passion's there. The attitude's good. And it was a big win, and they showed that attitude tonight, just the way they came back, as we were mentioning, a goal 11 seconds in, and then hanging on at the end by the skin of their teeth to get the 2 points.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to clarify this because people in the comments seem to think that I'm convinced that the Canadiens are going to make the playoffs. What I mean by making a push is the team needs to progress at some point. There's only so much where you can only play non-consequential hockey for so long, where the games don't matter and it's all good and just don't make a mistake out there, and if you make it, just limit. Like, that's all fun and well, but the games are going to have to matter, and we're seeing it in front of our eyes that the games they're playing them like they matter, because frankly they're in the position, and in their heads, when the players hear Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon say, we're not going to say the P word, I'm sure their instincts, as professional athletes, what went off in their head? They said, yeah, well, we'll show you. We'll show you what the P word, we'll show you about the P word.
You don't want a losing attitude in the room. I mean, Ottawa they seem to have a losing attitude there. It's whatever. They have
5-1. Don't look now, but it's 5-1.
But they got so much talent. Like, why is that team so bad year after every year? It's okay. This is the year. This is the year. This is the year, and it's never the year. Buffalo's a similar situation. This is the year. This is the year. This is the year. And so much about wrote a column recently, 90% of coaching today is just getting players to want to play for you and getting them to buy into what you're selling. And there's all kinds of different systems in hockey. Basically, any system can work. These systems can work if you perform them well. You look at the different systems different teams play with. The LA Kings with that 1-3-1. If your players buy into it and they want to play it, it really works. If the players don't buy into it and they don't want to play it, it doesn't work. So it's the same, and that's Marty St. Louis' biggest asset to me as a coach, is his ability to get the players to buy into what he's selling and want to play for him and want to do what he tells them to do and listening to what he's trying to, how he's trying to coach them. And we're seeing that, and we're seeing the little so no, I've said right from before the season started they won't make the playoffs, and I still don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to compete, and that's what you want. I mean, some people say, "Oh, just tank," and tanking, doesn't guarantee you're going to get the first pick overall anyway. You play as hard as you can. You try and win every game, and that's what the Canadiens are doing. And they got to get. I've also seen people, talking about how they trade Mike Matheson, get a draft pick for him. At some point, if all you keep doing is trading your good players for draft picks, you're going to be rebuilding forever, right? You got to keep some good players that are older veteran guys. Mike Matheson, I wouldn't trade him. I mean, he's a valuable commodity to this team. He's 29 years old. I think he's in phenomenal shape. He's playing 27 minutes a game. I mean, David Savard, I can see trading David Savard at age 33. You're going to get a first round pick, but you can't just trade everybody for picks. Those picks don't always work out. You look down, the list. Not every pick is Connor Bedard. You look down the list of first round picks. I mean, there's Yuri Slavkovsky, number 1 overall pick. He's got 4 goals this season. He's playing better, but he's 3-4 years away, as Kent Hughes said, from being the player they hope he'll be. And if you keep doing that and keep bringing in draft picks, you're going to always be 3-4 years away from getting where you want to be. So the Canadiens have got a good mix right now of their whole core group is 22, 23, 24 years old. A couple of your older guys, a Matheson at 29. And that's the way I think you rebuild. You don't want to suck every year, right? They got the number 1. You got a number 5 pick last year. They'll probably end up with a top 10 pick this year again. And then, 2 years from now, with these guys building, then you hope they'll be in a position where they're a legitimate playoff contender.
And listen, this isn't for the people that are still you got to lose every game. To build off of what you just said, is that I find hockey fans, and we're kind of stuck in the Habs bubble vacuum, but I feel like it's hockey fans in general who get very, very into draft picks and prospects, and like it's not like the NFL where
or the NBA
or like the NFL where it's like you take a guy in the 5th round, that guy is making your 52-man roster next year, like it's or 53-man roster, like it's gonna happen. Even in the 5th round, like it's just not the way it is in the NHL. Like in the
NFL, you're drafting older. The guys, you're drafting 20, 21-year-olds too. You're not drafting 18-year-olds.
Right.
I tell so many people, go back, when you said the NHL guide, the actual thick booker, now just go online and look at first-round draft picks. I mean, people talk about the Canadiens and how terrible they've been with their first-round draft picks, and they have been. There was like a 7-year span where it was all busts. But look at every year, go down, go on Hockey DB or whatever, and look at the first-round picks every year. And like 80% of the guys or 70% of the guys you've never heard of, or you go, that guy was a first round pick. So there's no guarantee that these picks are going to, and what Kent Hughes has done now, he's got 11 picks this year. You get a lot of picks, and obviously it improves your chances of getting somebody who's going to come through and make it. But I don't like that loser attitude. We're just lose, and tank. I don't think it's a way to build a team. I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins did it years ago for Mario Lemieux, but that's when the worst team was guaranteed getting the number 1 pick, right? So it made sense. There's no lottery. You're going to get Mario Lemieux if you suck. Okay, so we're going to suck this year. If it had been the same with Connor Bedard last year, okay, you tank. But there's no guarantee if you finish last, you're going to get the number 1 pick.
Well, that's it. And it's also just, there's something to be said about it, and it goes back to a winning and losing culture. Like, you look at I take a look at fans of certain NFL teams who, they've had success for historically forever in their franchise. So like, I'm going to bring the example for our fans. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're a division rival of the Cincinnati Bengals. I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers with all my guts. However, I admire what they do as a franchise. Like Mike Tomlin, as their head coach, has never had a losing season, ever. He may have missed the playoffs a couple of times, but he's never had a losing record. And that means something. Like, sure, they're not going to get the highest pick every now and then. And I'm sure they would like to lose, in hindsight, a couple more games. But that's just not the way the franchise operates. They don't accept losing.
And the Boston Bruins
in hockey, the Canadiens should be as well.
Look at the Bruins in hockey. They lose 2 of their best centers in the offseason, and they just keep on winning. They built a culture there. They built a winning culture where they win. And losing isn't accepted. And once you start accepting losing, it's not good. It's hard to shake that. It really is hard to shake that. And as a Canadiens fan, do you want to watch them lose every game? If you're a season ticket holder paying tens of thousands of dollars for your tickets, do you want to watch them lose every game? What you don't want to see is a team that isn't that good. And we saw this during the Marc Bergevin era a lot. And making dumb trades at the trade deadline to just try and get into the playoffs. Like, if the Canadiens are close this year, Kent Hughes isn't going to make dumb trades just to try and get into the playoffs, and maybe something will happen, right? He has a plan. He has a rebuilding plan. If they're close to the playoffs at the trade deadline, he might not trade a guy that maybe he was going to trade, but like if they're offered a first-round pick for David Savard, he's going to trade David Savard, right? But if the other guys that might, Sean Monahan, if it's not what he wants, he's not getting what he's worth, we're going to keep him because we're sort of close to maybe we'll get in. But I think that's what fans don't want. You don't want to see a team that they're not going to, you don't have a team to get far in the playoffs and you're making dumb trades at the deadline that are jeopardizing your future. But as far as now, we're 36 games into the season, there's a lot of hockey left to be played. You want to have a team as a fan, I would think you at least want to have a team that competes every night. And that's what the Canadiens are doing. They don't win every night, but they compete hard every night. And they win games that they probably shouldn't have won. And tonight was one of them.
Well, let's take that. And, let's say the Canadiens tonight, it goes the way that you and I thought it was going to go 11 seconds into the first period. How many Canadiens fans are flipping that off and want to watch that? Like, you can't, you're not watching that game as a Canadiens fan. I'm sorry. Like, when 2 years ago, when they were bottoming them out, and that was, Dominic Ducharme's last
2-0, turn the change the channel.
I'm not watching. I'm not watching. It's not worth it.
And there was no, as Josh Anderson said after Ducharme's last game, he said, it's no fun coming to the arena anymore, coming to the rink. You want to watch a team that's trying, and the Canadiens try hard. They work hard. Michael Pezzetta, out there tonight. He doesn't get a lot of ice time. He's not a great hockey player, but man, he gives you everything he's got every time he's on the ice. And those are the guys I think fans appreciate, guys like that. And you want to watch guys working hard and working as hard as they can. And the Canadiens have a lot of guys that are doing that.
So let's talk quickly about 2 or maybe 3 other things before we circle back to the Canadiens. Should mention Montreal's PWHL team had their debut tonight against Ottawa, and they won 3-2 in overtime. Sold out crowd in Ottawa. I think it was like 8,300 people. I was watching it before the start of the Canadiens game. Fast-paced game, good hockey, and hey, it was a home opener in an inaugural season. Game was scheduled for 7. Puck dropped at 7:13 on a home opener of an inaugural season. Yeah. I could accept that. I'll live with that. No problem.
And they're playing at the Ottawa 67s arena too, which is smart because 8,000 people in 8,000 seat arena is a great atmosphere. Whereas if we put 8,000 people at the Bell Center or NHL rink, it's not. So it's smart. It's smart the way they're trying to build this league. It really is. Billie Jean King's involved. There's a lot of money involved. So I think that the real challenge, and there's a lot of hype about it right now, which is great. There was a lot of fans, a lot of excitement, a lot of media coverage. To me, the test is going to be when it's like halfway through the season or so. Yeah. Is that vibe still going to be there? Are people, hopefully they are. But that, to me, that's their biggest challenge, is going to be opening night. It reminds me of the Expos, opening day, 50,000 people at the Big O. Yeah. Game 2, 30,000, and by game 10, 7,000. So, I'm hoping it's not the same. And I don't think it will, because I think there's a lot of more women now who grew up playing hockey, more young girls now playing hockey. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a fan base they need to build around. I know I saw in Toronto, they had the woman on the team signing autographs for kids before, I think it was after the game, which is a great idea. I remember taking my son when he was little to go see the Vermont Lake Monsters baseball team play. It was a Class A team. Back then, they were the Oakland A's affiliate. And after the games, kids were allowed to run the bases, and kids were allowed to get autographs in the dugouts with the players. And those are the things that will sell something starting off at the grassroots level, like we're seeing with women's hockey now. So I think that's fantastic, and I hope it works. As I said, but it's the test is gonna be as we get like halfway or 3/4 into the season, to see if there's still the same vibe around it, and hopefully there is.
Yeah, I hope so too, because a lot of these players come from university hockey. Mm-hmm. And for example, one of the defense women, we'll call them, on the Montreal team is Bridget Lagunière. She played on the Concordia Stingers. I broadcast many of her games. Yeah. I've always said it. Like, if you can't afford to go to a Montreal Canadiens game and you really love hockey, you want a night out on town. Mm-hmm. I mean, before it was to watch the university hockey, but now I'm sure these tickets are very affordable and it's a great product. If Montreal likes to say we're a hockey city, I like to call this city a Habs city, or an event city / a Habs city.
Junior hockey has failed several times in Montreal, right?
That's it, and a lot of people get excited about prospects. So, if you're excited about women's hockey in the Olympics, go check it out. Go check out the product, because I caught the first period before I switched over to the Habs game, and it was a great product. I was very happy with what I was watching, and it was entertaining. It didn't have me looking down at my phone like the Canadiens have had a couple times this season.
Well, I have so much respect for these female athletes. Over the years, I've interviewed quite a few female Olympic athletes, and the vast majority of them don't make much money at all from the sports they play. They literally do play for the love of the game. They really do. I mean, the Marie-Philippe Poulains of the world might make more. They have endorsement deals or that, but so many of these women, they play for the love of the game, and they put off a lot of things in life. They put the relationships or having kids or jobs, and a lot of times for the passion they have for their sport. And it's not like when they finish, they retire and they have enough money to live the rest of their lives like NHL players or male athletes in the big pro league. So I've always had so much admiration and respect for the women I've interviewed over the years at Olympic athletes, just because they literally do it because they love it so much. And now, they have a pro league of their own, and now girls can look up and say, that's what I want to do. Geez, I can play professional hockey. And at this point, the salaries are okay. They're not great, but they're okay. You can, if you're the middle or top people, you can make enough that you can do make a living off of it. And that's cool. That's really cool. I hope, as I said, I hope it succeeds. And I think the fact that, Billie Jean King, there's a lot of money behind this. Like, it's not like if it doesn't make money the first season or second season, they're going to pack in the towel. There's a lot of money, a lot of power behind this, and they're committed to make it work. And I really hope it does. And it's off to a great start. A lot of excitement around it. As you said, the 8,000 or whatever it was in Ottawa tonight. They had a big crowd in Toronto yesterday. Montreal's got Marie-Philippe Poulin, probably the best women's hockey player in the world on their team. So that alone, her alone is worth going out to check it out, right? Get to see the best athlete of what she does in the world.
Well, that's it. And it really just, for me, I always thought, like, where do these women go after they play, they really only showed up every 4 years on our team.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like so many, they're ignored for 4 years, and then they're at the Olympics and they're expected to win gold. And if they don't, it's
their national disappointment.
Exactly. And again, that's why I have so much admiration for these women and the commitment they make to their sports and the sacrifices they make to their sports. If you're a top prospect in the NHL, you're Connor Bedard, when you're 16 years old, you're going to be a millionaire, right? Just how many millions are you going to make, right? You're going to be your first overall pick or first round pick, you're going to be a millionaire. Whereas women's hockey, Marie-Philippe Poulin, the best player in the world, you don't know, am I going to be able to make a living doing this? Is this, what am I going to do when it's over? I need to find another job. For a woman who want to start a family, that gets put on hold, or the job, your careers get put on hold. Whereas for an NHL player, you don't need to worry about, if you want to have a career after hockey, fine, but you don't have to, right? Make enough money when you play, you should be set for life. So all those things factor in. That's, as I said, I really have so much admiration for these women, and I'm hoping that it's a huge success, this league.
And what I love is that usually when these things are being built, everything around the league, from broadcasters and different media, it's like you're hesitant to criticize because you want it to work, so you don't want to shine any negativity. And again, it's just they're doing it the right way. Like, they're not treating this like a Mickey Mouse league. Like, the broadcasters, they're doing fair criticism on players. They're being critical, and fans. I love this. These teams have never played each other before. Ottawa and Montreal. The Ottawa fans just start raining down the booze right when Montreal hits the ice. This is what it needs to be. But don't try to be the NHL, which they're not. Like you said, like with signing autographs, like, don't think you're too good for that. No. The other thing I thought was cool. I think it was the Ottawa team I saw on Twitter tonight. The way the Canadiens and the NHL teams always show you the guys coming in for the game in their suits, and that's the sort of the fashion thing. Well, they were doing the same thing with the women showing up today. I thought that was kind of cool, giving it the same treatment as what the NHL teams get. And I thought it was cool. I mean, there's, as I said, there's a lot of smart people running this, a lot of money behind it. If it doesn't work, and I think it will work, and I hope it will work, but if it didn't, it won't be for a lack of effort and money, and that's why I think it's going to succeed. I think the question is, how successful is it going to be, right? Is it going to be a bit of a success? Is it going to be a huge success? And time will tell. But obviously, off to a really, really good start. And there's so many, as I said, there's so many young. When I was growing up, and even when I was coaching my son in hockey years ago, I mean, most girls played ringette, right? They didn't play hockey. And the girls who did play hockey played on a boys' team, and that's all changed now, right? So that's good for the future of the sport. Both at the youth level, and now those young girls playing hockey have something to look up to. They have a pro league of their own. So and listen, the basketball team in Montreal, I forget. I mean, listen, I'll be honest. I've never gone to see a game, but there's a Canadian Elite Basketball League. They have a team in Montreal. Apparently, it's an awesome atmosphere. Make it like that, like Montreal. Yeah. Sports teams here recently that aren't the Canadiens they're doing a really good job of making the product unbelievable. It's the Montreal Alliance, by the way. Yeah.
I took my son.
atmosphere-
My son's a huge basketball fan. That's his favorite sport. And I took him to a game last year, and it was fun. It was really entertaining. It was a lot of fun. I had a really good time. He had a good time. They have a few quirky rules that make it fun too. At the end of the game, they stop with 2 minutes left. They stop with the scores, and there's like a winning score. So the first team to reach that score wins the game. But it was fun. It was in Verdun Auditorium. They dressed it up well. They made it fun. It was cool to watch. It really was.
So they have a great atmosphere. The Laval Rocket have a great atmosphere. Now there's going to be a buzz around the Montreal Alouettes. Like and I know, like, listen, Montreal does a lot of things not well. One thing they do very well is hockey. So I'm expecting them to pull out all the stops for their for the season, for the home opener for the Montreal team, and they just got to build off that momentum, because they have something on their hands that can be something quite amazing. And it's being built right in front of our very eyes, which is great.
It's good for Montreal, something besides the Habs, because I've said there's almost like a Habs sickness in this city. They dominate to a point that it's crazy. I mean, I grew up when the Habs were winning Stanley Cups all the time, in the 70s, but back then, like, the Expos were big and the Alouettes were big. They were all the Habs were here, but the Expos and the Alouettes were just below. Like, there was times when the Expos were above. When the Expos were the team of the 80s, they were huge, and the Alouettes back in the 70s, they were huge. And then all of a sudden, it got to the point that where the Canadiens are like as unsuccessful on the ice as they've ever been, as far as not winning Stanley Cups, and they're more popular than they've ever been. There's more interest in the Canadiens now than there ever has been, and that's fine. That's good. I mean, good for the Canadiens for doing that. But it's nice to see some other sports. The Alouettes winning the Grey Cup should help them. The women's hockey team coming along. Like I said, the Montreal Alliance. My son wanted to go to the game. I was like, okay, we'll go. And he had a great time. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest with you. Like, I like basketball. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but my son's 24 or 23. He's going to turn 24 soon. He's a big basketball fan. And he thought it was great. Like, he loved it. He's already asked me, are we going back when it starts? And same with Laval. I've taken him to Laval Rocket games, and that's a fun atmosphere too. So the Canadiens are the thing in this city, but there's a lot of other sports options to go watch that are a lot more affordable, right? Most people can't afford to take their kid to the Bell Center to a hockey game unless somebody gives them tickets. And even then, it's an expensive night, even if you get free tickets.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Because, for me, if I'm going with someone, you go for dinner before the game, you have a beer at the game, maybe two. That's already $24 just on beer.
Yeah.
You spend $30 on
$41 bucks if you want to park at the Bell Center. It can be an expensive night. Yeah.
Anyways, so hopefully the league carries this momentum. It's going to be, at least for the first season, it's going to be a great success. They really would have to try pretty hard to mess this one up. So, and they're in pretty good hands, like you said. Billie Jean King is involved, so I think they'll be just fine. The other thing I wanted to talk about before circling back to the Habs is World Juniors. Canada. I mean, disaster this morning. So there's that I wanted to talk about. And also what more can we talk about? It's the easiest thing to complain about in all of sports, but it's refereeing. Just unbelievable stuff in that Switzerland game. Also the Slovakia game, just really, I can't wrap my head around it, but let's start with Canada. They're down 2-0, and then they come back 2-2. I always say, if you have a lot of chances, sure, one's going to come. That's what general knowledge would say. But if you let another team hang around, bad things happen. Yep. And it was just a bad bounce. That's the reality of it.
As you said, disaster. Yes, that they don't win a medal, but knowing that it was a great hockey game. I mean, I watched it this morning. It was a fantastic hockey game, and it was an unlucky bounce. Everybody thought it was going into overtime. It was 11 seconds left or whatever it was. And then, shot hits out Canadiens defenseman's skate, hits the post, then it goes in. That's sports. That's what we love about it. If you win, if you're on the winning side, it's wonderful and you love it. If you're on the losing side, it sucks. So it sucked for Canada today. But, there's going to be, I'm sure, be people now saying, Canadian hockey is this and that. And it's, it was a bad bounce. If they got a good bounce, they go on to their next round. Maybe they go on and win the gold medal. It's what it was. It was a bad bounce. And there's so many other countries. I mean, the U.S. is now a powerhouse hockey system. for that, that development program USA Hockey has brought in, the U18, the U20, they're a powerhouse in hockey. They really are. I mean, the population, they got a lot more kids, right? So more kids in the US are starting to play hockey. They got more kids to pick from. Austin Matthews from Arizona. When I was a kid, the thought of a kid from Arizona even knowing how to skate would be unthinkable. Now you got one of the best players in the NHL. So for Canada, it was just disastrous in that they didn't win a medal, but not disastrous in that they lost the game. It was a really close game. You said they were down 2-0. They came back. It looked like they were going to win it. I mean, they were taking it to the most of the way, and then a bad bounce, 11 seconds left, and they lose. That's sports.
Yeah, and it was just, it's good that it was a revenge for Czechia because, I think, is that who Canada beat in
overtime last year? Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. So, revenge for Czechia. I think it was 14 or 12 players they said on the broadcast that had to stand there and listen to the Canadian anthem with silver medals around their necks.
Well, that's the thing. Canada only had one player coming back, right? Owen Beck was the only guy back from last year, so it was a different type of team.
Yeah. So again, it's just but stealing the show is just like I really dislike when referees steal the show.
Yeah.
And boy oh boy, across really all of sports, they're doing a fantastic job of it. Like it started, the whole season in the NFL, it's just been a mess across the board for, I think every team has been a victim of a really bad call, like more so than other years. And then just to see, like, how does that goal in the Slovakia game? I was shocked. Like, it goes to replay. They go to review the goal. The clock hits zeros and then resets to 18 automatically for the intermission time. And they're just like, yeah, that's a good goal. Yeah. Good goal for Slovakia. That's no problem.
It's video review, I think, is ruining sports. It's like, I think it sounds like an old guy yelling at the clouds here, but just right. I thought it was better. Just they're going to screw up on the ice, but when they go to video review and they still screw it up, and it happens, seems to happen so often. And like in the NHL now, nobody knows what goalie interference is or isn't, right? Nobody knows. You go to the video review. I can't remember. Well, Dave Poulin, congratulations to him getting the job in Ottawa now. He'll be a great hockey mind. He'll be fantastic at it, but one of the Canadiens games he was doing with Brian Mudrick there recently.
Oh my God, yes.
I guarantee you this is, I can't remember what the call was. I guarantee you. And he was wrong. And he was like laughing, like, I'm always wrong, but this one I was sure. So, Dave Poulin, who played in the NHL, was captain of the Flyers, was on Team Canada's for Canada Cups, has been a coach at Notre Dame. He's been an executive with the Leafs. If guys like that don't know what the rules are, like, it's to me, it's like video review has been more harm than good, in my opinion, especially in hockey.
Well, it's the whole thing is that, like, video review always gets introduced because of these egregious calls that slip through the cracks. And then, like, because how many calls are really egregious, and then how many are, like, decided by millimeters.
Yeah, and a lot of the video reviews are judgment calls that you're making on the referee made a judgment on the field, and now the video review guy's making a judgment too.
Exactly, but like the penalty being called against Switzerland for a check, and it's just like, man, you went to review. Like I remember I forget who it was against, but Canada, they took a penalty. Like Owen Beck, he got hit really hard, and it looked like he was going to exit the game. They went to review. Mike Johnson said on the broadcast, this is a 2-minute for me, because it was right away. It was 5 in a game, and then it went to review. He said, this is a 2 for me. Like, it's not 5 in a game. He leads with the shoulder. It hits him in the head. It's unfortunate, whatever. And then you just, like, the ref gets on the mic, and it's no penalty at all.
Well, and Mike Johnson said also, I remember I was watching it, he said, and of course, I guess he could say there's no penalty too, like almost joking.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the call ended up being, no penalty.
But it's just, I don't know what it is this year. It's the NHL too. Like, how many times have we sat here and said, like, that was a poorly refed game, like really bad?
The best sport for replay is tennis. It takes 5 seconds and the ball's in or the ball's out. That's, and they show it on the video screen, right? You actually see where the ball lands, so you know if it's in or out. But I mean, the judgment stuff, I mean, I've said, if you're going to keep video review in hockey, to me, it should just be, did the puck cross the line or not? Mm-hmm. Or like tonight when Josh Anderson got the high stick in the face and the referee wants to review it to see with the penalty. That makes sense to me. You know, the ref maybe didn't see it right. You want to see if it was intentional. Is it a 2? Is it a 4? Is it a 5? But like, you know, there's goalie interference and these offsides that are offside by a millimeter and really had nothing to do with, you know, the goal was scored, you know, 30 seconds after this millimeter of an offside.
Right.
To me, that's not what video review should be for. It's like, so the lines are missing an offside call by that much. Live with it. No,
but that's it. It's Pandora's box. Now you look at it in the NBA. Every single thing gets reviewed, but you know what? You would almost, that's the thing. I'm of the mindset of if you have it, use it to make the right call. Like, don't, you know what I mean? It's now that you introduced it, you've opened Pandora's box. You can't get away from it. And anyways,
I mean, I almost want to just get the referee asking for his own review. Like if the referee on the ice makes a call and is not sure, him saying, I want to check that, as opposed to, you know, all these other, the coaches' challenges and all these other things that we have right now.
You know what though? Coaches' challenges I'm okay with. Just set a timer. If you can't get it in 2 or 3 minutes, like call stands.
Exactly. If you can't determine it after a minute and a half of looking at it from 15 different angles, well, then just go with the call that the guy on the ice made.
Exactly. Anyways, enough complaining about the refs. That's everyone's daily dose. Easiest thing in sports to complain about, because everyone hates refs. Sorry, refs. But okay, so back to the Canadiens. They have 2. You know, like we said, we talked about Thursday's game. We're gonna do what every coach hates, which is looking past an opponent and looking towards Saturday's game against the New York Rangers. That's a big game. Like that, and again, just like the Canadiens have had a lot of litmus tests recently, and that is another one that I am very, very excited for.
I like their chances against the Rangers more than I like their chances against Buffalo, just because of what we spoke about earlier, just coming back from that road trip. You know, as I said, they're going to get to bed at 5 o'clock this morning. Their sleep pattern is going to be screwed up. They're going to be tired. They're going to be dealing with, you know, wives will be happy to see them, and kids will be even happy. You know, it's going to be a lot going on. They're going to be, you know, morning skate on Thursday and then the game Thursday night. They're going to be tired Thursday, I think. But Saturday, I think they have a better chance against the Rangers, just because I think the Canadiens will be in a better condition to win a hockey game.
And listen, it's Saturday night at the Bell Center, original 6 matchup. It's always good. I have a very vivid memory of once I want to see the Rangers. Coincidentally, it was this game is on my birthday. My birthday is January 6th. Coincidentally, a couple years back, I went to go see a game against the Rangers on January 6th. This is it's 8 years ago at this point, but man, like, no, it's got to be more, because Sean Avery was still on the team, and like, it was so much fun just screaming at Sean Avery. Like I couldn't have been more than 15 years old, and I was just screaming at him because I was close enough for them to hear. And like, it's just the New York fans are in town, man. It's a fun atmosphere when it's the Rangers, because it's one that you don't really. I feel like there's not much substance there, but there should be more between Montreal and New York.
Yeah, and the original six uniforms are the best. Not even close. That's part of it. And Saturday at the Bell Center or whoever it is, it's always special. The players talk about it too. Like Saturday night's it's different. It's just a different atmosphere on a Saturday night. And as you say, with the original 6 team coming in, and the Rangers are a good team, it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a really good game.
So we'll look forward to that one. Hopefully the game on Thursday doesn't go. I mean, listen, this game didn't go the way we thought it would go. So maybe Thursday won't either. Stu, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll chat soon.
All right. Take care.
That was Stu Cowan. I'm Matt Ohayon. Tony's back tomorrow night. I'm back Thursday. See you then.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.